Hi there, welcome back. So what was trying to come through so strongly in the previous video is to allow others their journey. Whether it's your partner, whether it's your children, whether it's your parents, in my case, For such a long time, I spent my adult life thinking that my job was to fix my partners. And I seemed to keep picking up partners that needed fixing, that were broken. All of those words, My first husband, his parents went through a divorce. And at the time he was quite young and it felt like his whole world was falling apart and I could see him falling apart, And so it was my job to pick up the pieces to make it okay. It's okay. You're going to be okay. Make him feel safe. That I was always going to be there. All these things, and so, looking back now, my whole life, it feels like that's what I was taught from little as well, that it's the woman's job to fix the man or to, the man was supposed to be, or the partner was supposed to be, our focus was supposed to be on them. And everything revolves around them. And then, of course, you have your children and everything revolves around the children, So because the partner's the one that provides the children, I guess that's the order of how it all works. But I was always brought up with this mentality that it was our job as the woman to fix the man, So I wanted to bring this forward for all these people out there that feel that it's our job to fix others. It's our job to heal others. The healing part I was shown through when I did the Reiki course. Originally I would go in thinking that I was doing healing, and with time I was shown that that's not the path for me. I was shown something completely different, and so was my beautiful friend in New Zealand. We used to have these huge conversations about it's not really healing. We're not really healing. It's not really what we're doing. And it was just amazing. But yes, for those of you out there who feel it's your job to heal others, all of these things, when you understand that you have your own unique path, your soul is here with its own unique path, and you can understand that so is everybody else, when you know this truth through and through within you, your partner has his own path or her own path, your children have their own path, your parents, then it becomes clear to you that yes, I'm not saying don't assist if they ask for help. We're not saying that. If they ask for assistance, please, these are the beings in your life. Do what you can. But sometimes we judge that this is the right thing for that person. This is the best thing for that person. This is what they need. We're judging that this is what they need, but we don't know the path. We don't have information about their path. We don't have access. We only have access to ours. And what I learned through Reiki is that many times, from the very beginning, when my beautiful spirit team would come in, I would receive so much information to give back to that person. But even after a while, I realized I'm not even there to interpret that information. Because what I might interpret may be completely different to how they interpret the information that's come through for them. The other thing I learned through Reiki is that yes, healing can occur. It is possible for whatever area it is that the being wants healing for. But only they can do it. If you're going in to do a healing, say as a Reiki master, I'm going in and the person on the other end is telling me that they're having problems with their eyesight. Let's just choose one. They've got cataracts, or they're losing their eyesight and they want to heal their eyesight. If within that being, the fear of losing their eyesight is greater than their faith in healing their eyesight will continue to deteriorate because their fear is greater. That's what's creating their reality, that they're going to lose their eyesight. And what happens when they lose their eyesight? They lose their independence. They're going to need others to assist. And perhaps for that person, their independence is everything. They've made independence their everything. And I remember listening to this gorgeous video once. Someone was talking about this little boy came up to Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer. I love his teachings. And the little boy had a very heavy stutter. And he walked up to Dr. Wayne Dyer in this talk that he was doing. And he said to him in his stutter, "Can you heal my stutter?" And Dr. Wayne Dyer said to him, "Can you see yourself without the stutter?" And the boy said, "No." And he said, "Well, then I can't help you." We are the creators of our reality, and our thoughts, our fears, everything going on inside of us is creating moment to moment what is appearing in our reality. Always. Always. The parts of you that are in pain, the parts of you that have disease, all of that is serving your human experience. And you can heal it in a heartbeat. But only you have the power to do that. In all those beautiful stories where Jesus healed people, they were the ones that had the power to heal, and they gave their power to him. They believed in him so strongly that he could heal them, and that was enough. That faith was enough. But as I said before, if there is a fear because, if this goes, what will happen to me? If I don't have this, whatever it is, the eyesight, the hearing, my heart, I have a heart attack if my heart doesn't work anymore. Whatever fear is behind that's creating all of this within you, if that is stronger than your faith to heal it, that will be dominant. That will be what creates more of it. You have the power to change it at any time. At any time. You have to remember who you are. And then we have to look at, why is that there? What is it serving in my experience? What is it that I'm meant to gain from this? We miss the most important part of the whole experience. Why am I losing my eyesight? What is it trying to tell me? What am I meant to learn from this? What wisdom? What information? What knowledge? How does it feel to be completely blind? That I can't see anything? How does it feel to be completely deaf? That I can't hear anything? How does it feel to be losing my hearing? Day to day, it's slowly going. And there's this fear of when it goes. What will happen? There are so many fears in our culture that create our reality. So many fears. Especially for our elderly. There's so many of them when they get to a certain age. Because I work with the elderly every day. So many of them get to a certain age and they begin to fear what will happen when I lose my independence. Will I be kicked out of my home? It happens so often here in Australia. That the seniors, they're taken out of their homes, their family cells, so that they can all get a part of their share of the house or whatever properties that person has. And they put them in a nursing home. But it's always serving. It's always serving. From what I've seen, from what I've witnessed, working with the elderly, those that have sold and taken their part, it all falls apart for them because you have to live with that guilt that you just kicked your parents out of their house because it was their house that you sold, not yours, but theirs. And they spent a whole lifetime, for many of them, paying off that mortgage to have that house. And for so many of them, I find later, there's this bickering over who gets what, And then they can't forgive because one gets more share than the other, which means that they were the favorite. And why did they get that and I only got this? All of that comes up. Oh, that they were the favorite. All this jealousy, all this rivalry, it all comes up. And it's all serving their experience. All of it, even for that person that has to go into the nursing home. Because that fear was there. What if I get kicked out of my own home? What if I can no longer be independent? And yet there are so many beautiful houses that I go to where the family has put in everything they can for their parents to stay in their homes until the end. They'll do anything. They'll have living care. They'll have carers come in 24/7. However many days of the week they need someone there, they'll have someone. They do whatever they can. And in almost all of those cases, I just find there's such a high level of gratitude for the life that these people have had with these parents, that they just want to give back to these parents what was given to them. You know, there's just so much love for these beings because there was so much love for them in their childhood. You can see it. You can just see how these children treat their parents, the love that's there, you know, and it's serving that experience. But we're not all here to walk the same path. Some of us are here to do all of that, to see how it feels, how ashamed I feel that I made my mum sell her house just to get, I don't know, $100,000 that I could pay off my house. I have to live with that she's now in a nursing home. All of her belongings are gone. She's in this tiny little room with a tiny little toilet. Everything she worked for, gone. I know when we leave, we don't take any of it with us. It's just stuff. You know, it's material stuff. If it were important, we'd be able to take it with us. But it's not. It's just serving a purpose here. It's serving our human experience. We're the ones that give it meaning. We're the ones that give it value. That, oh, this is valuable to me. This is important to me. We're the ones that give it that meaning and that value. For me, I couldn't live with myself if I did that. And so that was the reason that we never asked my mother-in-law to sell eventually. You know, before we had a mortgage, we had so much money owing, and it felt like a death sentence. We still had 15 years left on it. And we were renovating her house. I'm trying to think, my daughter was 4 years old. So this was about 10 years ago now. So we went over to her house and we were renovating. We were getting it all ready to sell with, she was going to move in here with us, build a granny flat at the back so that we could all be together, because she lives 15 minutes away, but at the moment she lives by herself, So I always had that fear, if anything happens to her, we might not know for days because we won't know, she's not here. So at least here, I know, I see her often, or my daughter would be constantly going to see her grandmother there, and catching up with her. Anyway, all of that. But when the time came, she came up to me and she said she wasn't comfortable with selling, because she didn't trust. If my husband and I broke up, where would she end up? You know what I mean? This was one of the fears that was coming up for her. And the words that came out were that she didn't trust, and so the moment I heard those words, that I don't trust, I just stepped back and I said, you know what, I can't do this. Because years before that, to be fair, years before my daughter was born, she kept coming to me and saying, we should build a granny flat in the back, and I'll move in and we can be together. She'd been saying it for years. And I had in my mind that she didn't want to be by herself, towards her later years in life, So that was the main reason that I was keen to have her here with us, you know, that she didn't have to be alone. She's got family. We're here, you know. But then I realized when we did the renovations and it was ready to be sold and she didn't want to, that's her path. She likes to be alone. There's a lot of people that do like to be alone. You know, they like to have their space. And so I couldn't live with that, making her sell it just because we needed the money to pay the mortgage. That was our problem, you know, not hers. So we left it, you know, it was like, that's it, leave it. That's not the way. For us, it wasn't the way, you know, to make her do something she didn't want to do. So, but for others, it is, because they're desperate. They need the money. Eventually the money came, you know, and the house was paid, our house is paid off, and, you know, she still has her house. Everything worked itself out in the end, you know. But I've seen so many families where the siblings are just not talking to each other now. So many. And to me, it's more than anything else, it's the shame and the guilt that they carry inside for what they've done to their parents. And so they blame the other sibling, and, oh, I'm offended with you now, and I'm offended with you, and and all of that goes on, you know, because they have to live with, I kicked my parents out of their home. Out of their home. Not my home, their home. I grew up there, but I didn't work my butt off to pay for it. There's nothing stopping you from working your butt off to buy your own house like they did. My parents came to Australia. They didn't even have the language. They didn't even know how to speak English when they got here. They came from South America. And yet they managed to buy a house and pay it off. But they worked really hard to do that. So, you know, we feel we're entitled because we grew up in that house, that it's our house, and it's not. It's their house. It's your parents' house. They worked. They paid for it. You can do the same. There's nothing stopping you from doing the same. But perhaps that's not the experience you all came to have. That is your path and that is their path, and you have to live with that. So, my beautiful beings, forgiveness. Know that if that is you, that if you've been through that, it was meant to happen that way. You already had a soul contract with your parents that that is what you would do. It was going to serve their experience, and it was going to serve yours. So you can forgive yourself today. All right, my beautiful beings. Nothing is an accident. Nothing is coincidence. Everything that has happened was meant to happen the way it happened. Or the way it is happening now. It is serving. It is serving you, and it is serving them. All right, my beautiful beings. We love you guys. Remember to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the messages. We love you dearly. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.